They kept this secret, but it doesn't matter how hard you try to keep a secret. Soon or later, the truth will out. Hi everyone, welcome back to John Florio channel. I am Mary and I'm here to talk about Mr. John Florio. In my last video I talked about Love's Labour's Lost and Shakespeare's collaboration with John Florio. When I posted the video, some people told me, well, but you know, actually there was no collaboration. It was Florio who wrote the play. And obviously talking about collaboration, we enter the authorship question. And today I will discuss this topic. Who was Shakespeare? Did he really write the plays attributed to him? And what was John Florio's role? Did he write Shakespeare's plays or not? Before we start, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment this video if you want. But now, let's start. Was John Florio Shakespeare? Did Shakespeare write the plays attributed to him? This tantalizing theory has been suggested over the centuries by many scholars and in different ways. For example, Lamberto Tassinari has published a book, John Florio, the man who was Shakespeare. According to him, John Florio was the real pen behind the plays later attributed to Shakespeare. He doesn't give Shakespeare any role. He believes that Shakespeare was just a name, possibly a theatrical manager, but anyway, he was the man that wrote the plays attributed to him. Saul Frampton of the University of London suggested that Florio was the actual editor of Shakespeare's folio, so the hand behind the corrections, the changes of dialogues, and the one who took charge of improving many parts of the plays. Why these suggestions? Because as I have shown you in the past videos, there are many similarities between these two men. Stylistic, linguistic similarities. The way they write, the way they create words, the way they think, both influenced by authors like Montaigne or Giordano Bruno. So, in fact, Florio has been proposed as the real author of Shakespeare's play. Well, before telling my personal opinion, I would like to talk about historical facts, because I didn't make this channel to spread conspiracy theories. I like to tell facts. I like to show you real stories, documents, real documents. So let's start with historical facts. What was going on in London theatres when Florio and Shakespeare arrived in London? When Florio arrived in London at 20 years old, the burgeoning London theatre was what Netflix is for us today. People went to the theatre to be entertained, and the poor and the rich alike, and the plays were the result of a complex culture of collaboration. This is not new, but the conception of dramatic authorship today privileges the creative output of a singular authorial mind. And this is an oversimplification. Early modern drama is still today conceived in terms of a single author play. Why? Because the single author is much more marketable product. But this obscures the intricate interplay of numerous agents in the early modern dramatic arena. Authors, actors, printers. There was a complex network of collaboration that characterized early modern theatre. When Florio published his first fruits in 1578, only 2 years earlier, the very first theatre was built in Finsbury Field, named the Theatre. You will wonder what a language lesson manual has to do with theatre. Well, actually a lot. Why? Because in that work, First Fruits, we find dedicatory poems written by the most important actors of the time. Richard Tarleton, John Bentley, Robert Wilson, the greatest actors of the time that were writing, prizing poems to John Florio. And why they did that? Because Florio was collaborating with them. So there were numerous agents in the early modern dramatic arena, authors and their respective companies, actors, printers, playhouses, collaborating enthusiastically with each other. And how plays were written in early modern London, in a period in which there was a boom of theatres in London. There were actually two ways in which plays were written. First, they readapted plays that were already written. Old plays that were edited with the latest news the audience would know to make them laugh and amuse them with jokes and pranks. A sort of Saturday Night Live. Two, they collaborated. There is a document that shows that a theatre company of the time, the Admiral's Men, in the mid-1590s staged 6 different plays each week. Now, do you believe that one single dramatist could actually write 6 different plays each week alone? No. So they simply wrote old plays and collaborated. And in a world of words, Florio writes it. He writes to his enemies, "You keep attacking me, I don't care. I have a good faction of good writers who support me and collaborate with me. Group of writers. What else do you need as evidence?" Those group of writers were collaborating in theatre. We shouldn't compare Elizabethan theatre with today's theatre, because there were different rules. First of all, there was no copyright. Dramatists wrote play anonymously and then they sold it to companies who could do anything they wanted with it. They could edit, change the play completely. If the current copyright law had been in place in Florio's era, Shakespeare's plays might have never seen the light of day. So I think that the greatest mistake that people do when they think about Shakespeare is to see it from the 21st century lens. They imagine this guy in his little room writing hello, putting his name on the plays and giving that to the companies, and they say to them, "This is how you should do it." No, it wasn't like this. This is one of the reasons why I believe that Shakespeare was this big theatrical machine made of great authors, great actors, great printers, great patrons, great writers like Shakespeare, like Florio, who collaborated with each other and gave birth to extraordinary plays. Do I think that Shakespeare wrote all the plays attributed to him? Absolutely not. He probably wrote some. He collaborated with other authors for other plays. He collaborated with Florio for other plays. He wrote some plays alone. Others were probably written by Florio. Does this make Shakespeare less great? No. Does this make Florio better? No. People should be interested in Florio regardless his involvement in Shakespeare's plays, because he was a badass who lived a troubled, adventurous life and carry on his mission of improving English language and theatre despite he received death threats. Why he received death threats? Because in Elizabethan era foreigners were considered dangerous. Florio was considered a dangerous man, and in Second Fruits he wrote it. He wrote, "My enemies have a knife at command to cut my throat," because an Englishman in Italian is a devil incarnate. This is how they define him, a devil incarnate. But he felt himself English, and screw the death threats, he thought. I will keep writing anonymously, collaborating, but I will keep doing it. And yes, Shakespeare wrote his plays, not in the way people see it today, but he wrote them. He wasn't there when the first folio was published, and that's why that work was possibly the project of both Florio and Ben Jonson, who already worked together and already collaborated together at court. But it's not a big deal. Really, people have this idea that Shakespeare was this genius who wrote everything by himself. And If you think about it, it's a beautiful, powerful image. The young boy who comes from the countryside, arrives in London and becomes the greatest author, the greatest poet of history. It's such a good story. People dream and think, I can do it, I can become the next Shakespeare. And it is no coincidence that this story, this myth, this legend was imposed in the Victorian era at the moment of England's extraordinary military and economic expansion. So anything that enhanced English prestige was welcome. And that's how bardolatry was born, and at the same time Florio's reputation was destroyed because he was involved in the plays, but he was not 100% English. And oh dear Lord, don't you dare mention that Englishman in Italian who was responsible for the expansion of English language and the greatest English plays ever written. And I have the feeling that he knew it. He knew that he would have been forgotten because it is how society had been treating him. But he did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. But it is time that people acknowledge it. It is time that people know the truth. They kept this secret, but it doesn't matter how hard you try to keep secret. Soon or later, the truth will out. The greatest mistake that people do is to constantly looking for the hero. No, it wasn't Shakespeare, it was Marlowe. He didn't die, he escaped in Europe and he kept writing the plays. No, it was Edward de Vere who gave the great plays to the illiterate actor who couldn't even sign his name. These stories are certainly fascinating, but they make movies about it. They make us dream, but they are far from the truth. Truth is that there is no hero. There were extraordinary people who together did extraordinary things, and not alone, but thanks to their patrons, thanks to the historical period in which they lived, and together also thanks to Mr. Florio gave birth to this monstrous mask named Shakespeare, that today we all love and prize for the beautiful gift that has done to the world. Stay resolute. Bye.